But with the session today, let's start off with a Q&A. Any questions you guys have, just shoot them through my way, and then we can take it from there. I will stream the charts as well. There you go. I'll grab a chart up. Let's watch Bitcoin. I'm in a bit of a short right now. So let's see how that goes. And then market stopped up, but we don't care. So we'll see how that goes. And then we'll take it from there. So yeah, let's take it from there. Anything that we want to cover? Anything that you guys want to know? Welcome back, Skinny D. How was your weekend away? You guys can come on the mic. Feel free.
Weekend was great. Kids had fun.
That's good. That's what matters.
Got a little cold and had a small storm on the first night, but made it through.
Ah, great stuff.
People online. Kid was just asking who I was talking to.
But yeah, look, guys.
Well, one question. I was just typing it, but I was curious if you do much BTC pair trading, BTC ETH, so on.
Like BTC ETH, BTC, everything else.
Well, yeah.
I don't trade that
that
often.
Holds up with the order blocks.
I've never tested it with order blocks, but what I can do is we can actually the backtesting session we can test some Bitcoin pairs. So we can do BTC ETH or BTC ADA or whatever. We can hit the backtest with one of those pairs, see how it works and how it holds up, if it actually does. Because it is a bit weird because Bitcoin's a pair on its own, and I wonder if that will match with order blocks and other pairs. You know what I mean? Would be quite interesting.
I just didn't know if like they treat like I guess the reasoning behind it is more liquidity grabs, and if that still holds true with non-USD currency kind of stuff. But I don't know if it would be similar to Forex where it's different currencies and it still holds up. So
yeah, well, give me a pair right now and we'll check it out quickly.
Try I guess just BTC ETH. It's a pretty standard one. It's probably the best one.
Wait, let's not do that one.
I'm trying to go pair trading rather than that with more longer term bags. Let's look into it and add that to the homework list.
Does Binance not have Bitcoin ETH?
Oh, it's ETH BTC, not BTC ETH.
Yeah, you can see that I don't trade it. Let's check it out.
I tried at one point and just never made it back to it. And I know there's definitely some value there in it from a more longer term bag kind of HODL's perspective, where you're just never getting out of them, but change it to the one that's moving more.
For those of you that don't know what I just did, I literally went to I want to backtest, but so I dragged everything like really tight, so I don't know what's happening on the charts. I don't know where I'm backtesting to. So I don't know what's going to play out after this. But if I check the daily, from what we have, we're uptrending. Kind of declared liquidity here. We cleared liquidity down, so we did make a higher high here essentially. What I do want to check is oops. Let's check it. I mean, this order block did play out pretty well. Could get a retest on this area here. So that didn't actually hold up. Was there a higher zone? Not really. could have been a zone here, but it did break above with the wick. Let's see, anyways. So we have change a character to the downside. Let's see what we can get out of it. Building liquidity now. So I'm going to do the FIB. Selling zone is looking for here, this area here. Building liquidity again. Kind of there. I don't know. Ranging? Nah. I don't think it does hold up very well. Let's just check the zones that it bounces from. No. Not really. On the daily, not specifically, no, but 4 hour? No. Because it would have respected this zone here, but it pushed through it over there. So no, I wouldn't trust this with order blocks and whatnot. I would trust horizontal levels though. It looks like it likes to trade on horizontals. It's like here, this level here, tapped into
Yeah,
twice.
it definitely ranges pretty well.
Definitely like trend line trading would work here well. Because if you like had this trend here, for example, you had this trend here, it rejects it and it rejects it and touches it again perfectly. Yeah, so I would do trend line trading and horizontals. It looks pretty decent. You can see here the inverse head and shoulders there with that horizontal support. Boom, up, down, tested once, tested twice, then goes. Like you see, this would have been an order block trade, but yeah, that would have been an order block trade, but it's the only one I've seen so far because it made the higher high over here, right? And then it broke this high as well over here. Then it came back to test this level, which is the level where we broke that high. But other than that, we don't really respect, or we don't really have market structure. It's just really a lot of ranging like this. And then here as well, it's a lot of like downwards range, and then you get a spike, and then a downwards range again. There's no real momentum. It's just range, and then all of a sudden a spike. Like that. Like here as well. This could have been an order block trade. If you marked off this zone, and then had your breaker structure, actually change your character over here. So the market made a lower low here. Right, corresponding with that one. That was the zone that caused it. So we have this area here that we have as resistance. So what I would say is, unless you have a clean order block on like 1 hour, 4 hour, I wouldn't trade or that strategy with it. Trend line trading works pretty well in this. Just because the way it trades and the way it ranges, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up a couple other pairs to see if they're any different, just in case. Maybe it's specifically the ETH BTC too close together.
Yeah.
I feel like
Casino, yes, we are recording it. I am currently recording this session. I'm just going to be right back. Give me 2 seconds.
You could try Atom and ETH or Cosmos and ETH.
I heard OA wanted Killer say something now. Wanted Killer, what did you say?
Yeah, if you're doing that trade pair, try Cosmos and ETH.
Cosmos and ETH. Is it ETH Cosmo?
Cosmos, ETH.
Or that'll be
Or is it Cosmos first?
Or
Is it
Is it
Cosmos
Atom?
Atom.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
yeah, they call it different.
Atom ETH. Let's check it out. What time frame do you want to do it on?
4 hour, and then work our way down to the 15.
Okay, we're downtrending. Clearly. Change the character here. We have this doji here, bullish, bearish, bullish. I mean, bearish, bullish, bearish as my supply. Essentially, you could look for a short here. Something like that. Let's see. Play one candle at a time. What the hell, dude? Oh, so we're going up. So we break structure again. So this got invalidated before we even took the trade. So let's break a structure. Looking at somewhat this zone here. Okay, 1 hour. I'll look for that zone there. Something like this. See one candle at a time. There, that candle there touched the zone. That rejection would have been good. If you limit ordered that, you would get in there. If you didn't limit order and you waited for candle closure, you would get in here with a stop loss underneath the wick. So the stop loss would be there. Targeting the same 1 to 5. And that's break even to stop loss. Stop loss break even there. Because we made a higher high here. Right. And that's break even for this trade. Could have gotten another entry, but that's this trade break evened out. Other trade would have still been in. And I would have gotten out. Thinking about getting out because it's building liquidity now. It's got to take this liquidity out. No, wait. No, that's very close to hitting take profit. That's coming down to that liquidity level. If it breaks that liquidity level, I'll get out. Yep, there. Broke the liquidity level. So, I mean, that one kind of did respect it, but it didn't play it out completely. It did come down to this bottom zone here. Not completely, though. Kind of wicked down. So, I mean, somewhat could have gotten some profits there if you managed the trade. But there is a chalk here on your OB if I do the fib. Yeah, OB would be so unless this candle, now this candle closes above the order block, so it's like it's a invalidated trade anyways. Even if it comes down. Damn, dude, what the hell? That's really aggressive though.
yeah, maybe a bit too early for crypto pairs to function well in it.
Gap in the market. Needs to go and fill that
Still
gap.
toy around with it a little bit.
Market needs to go and fill the gap out. So I'd possibly take a trade off of the gap. See how it plays. Yeah, it fills the gap. If it fills the gap and closes above it, you could look for something like this. Like, because you know the market's got to fill the gap. You could look for something off this top zone here. This candle closes like this. Let's play one more candle. Yeah, the next candle closes like that. Doji, let's play one more candle. Yeah, so that candle closes bullish. Don't like that candle. I'll wait for another one. Whoops. Okay. All in anyways. Gets invalidated anyways. So that zone. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't trade the order block strategy on anything that isn't against the USDT. But if you trade like trend line strategies against it, it works well because you end at the break of trend. Let's check here. There, you get in there on that break there. Stop loss above the high, target the low.
1 second. Before you do that, before you
Yeah,
play it,
and that's fucking
pull up
invalid.
the RSI when you do that break or trend. See what it does.
Stochastic RSI.
Yeah.
What do I? Yeah, it's fine. It was here. It did flip over here. It flipped over here. There. That would have been the cross. Over there. When it goes down there, it just comes back up again, and it probably retests the trend line again. Yeah, it tests it again there, and then it probably goes up. It comes down to test it again. Yeah, it's odd, bro. Odd chart. There, that's like a break, and that's a retest. So you could get in there again, but like this chart's like aggressive, dude. I won't be surprised if it stops you out again. Yeah, dude, this chart's aggressive as frick. That doesn't like it doesn't respect the trend. Same here, it deviates and it deviates again, rides the trend at the bottom, and then shoots up again. So I mean, trading's like a chart against ETH or Bitcoin is a bit more tricky unless you have fundamental news on it or fundamental information. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've never personally traded the strategy against like ETH or Bitcoin, but if you find a way to do it, you can definitely backtest it and figure it out. But I don't think it will give you good setups, in my opinion. Go 4 hour again. So we did make a lower low here, right? And this would have been the candle. So you could have shorted in that zone. But what this chart's been doing now is not respecting anything, so I wouldn't trust it. Yeah, it doesn't respect the zone. It doesn't respect anything. It just goes. It just moves.
Mm.
So it comes back up to this level here. That's an SR flip. So it should reject it down. It should keep going down now. But it won't. It'll spike up out of nowhere. Oh, no. That's the one time it did. That's the one time it respected it. Okay, so that was an SR flip, support resistance flip. That was a demand zone that turned into a supply zone. Right, so you see we found support on this area 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Then we broke it and retested the area. And then you can short it down. What would the gain what would the gain be on that trade? Took it from the 50%. Or you took it like after this candle rejected. Say there. You wrote it down to the most recent low. It's a 9-to-1 risk reward. So you would have lost probably like 9 trades and then made back your 9 trades lost on this one. Let's see what else we get. Let's just play it out some more. So like this in the 4 hour, that would be a high. Right? Because if you go to the 1 hour on that would be a definite high that prints over there. Even if you really want to go in depth with it, nah. Some people would say this is kind of a change of character. Yeah, to the upside.
Link BTC looks like it may be respecting it a little more.
Let's check.
I don't know if that's just my eyeballing it, but
Time frame 4 hour, 1
maybe
hour.
it's just finding the more established pairs.
Time
I think
frame.
I was looking at the daily and the 4 hour.
Okay, Cool. Let's check it out. Actually, let's go back further.
Let's talk about
Let's check it out. Well, there's any question in the chat? What creates that gap? Oh, sorry, I didn't see that. What creates that gap? Okay, so it depends. Like normally you don't see gaps on crypto exchanges because the markets are open 24/7. Like because a crypto exchange never stops trading, there will never be a gap in the market. But if you have stuff like forex pairs, right, like foreign exchange or indices, or metals or anything like that, then what ends up happening is that the exchanges close on the weekends. But if the exchange closes, then the price doesn't stop moving. Like for example, if the exchange closes on a Friday and the last price traded was $1, right? The price can still move over the weekend. But when the exchange opens on a Monday again for trading, it then adds in the new price. So if the price traded on Friday was $1, and when it opens on Monday it's $1.2, there would be a gap between $1 and $1.2, right? That's what happens in forex. But with crypto, often you'll see gaps on. Depends on what happens, but like normally what happens with crypto is that the exchange goes down for like a set amount of time, or like that chart just becomes inactive for trading for some reason, and then the exchange doesn't track it anymore. Then it can create a gap. So like the exchange won't track it for like say 10-15 minutes and maybe even an hour or a day or whatever. Then a gap will be created. Other times, I've never seen it any other time other than just a malfunction on an exchange. Yeah, that's the only time I've ever seen it. Does a supply and demand zone always touch a chock? No. Oh, well, that... No. I don't understand what you're asking. Because like a change of character just means that it made a high or a lower low. Mr. D-Waggy over there. Anyways, let's get back to this chart. So what we're looking for... order blocks in this chart. It looks like it just took liquidity over here. No real zone on the 4 hour. Let's go to the daily real quick. Oh, there is this zone over here on the daily. And we did tap 50% of that zone, which would be there somewhere. So you could take that order, route it to the most recent low, or you could take it down to this low. But we're routing it to this low for this example. Back to the 4 hour. Let's see how it plays out. Stop loss to break even there, because we made a lower low. Right, so that is a lower low there on that time frame, on that like lower time frame. That's a lower low. So I put my stop loss to break even, and it can come back up to this area here, right? Because that was the last bullish candle before we expanded to the downside. One candle at a time, we play it out. It does touch it. My zone was a bit small. It does actually touch that zone perfectly. Yeah, touches it perfectly, and rejects, I presume. No, comes up break even. Okay, break even trade in that one. So that's one break even. Didn't respect that. Let's see. Pushes up. So this is now invalid. So we have one break even, and that's invalid. So let's see what else we can get. Chart just going up. We do have this area here, right? The reason I'm marking this area, or even this one, mark the lower one, because the reason we have this entire zone here is because this is the last area where we consolidated a little bit before we made a higher high over here. Right, so we made a higher high here, and we have two zones, kind of this area here in this area down here that we could find support at. And it looks like we are finding support over here. Play another candle. Let's go to the 30 minutes. So now what I'd wait for, go to the 15. Now what I would wait for is price to come back down, make a higher high, then come back down. Like that. It made a higher high there. And come back to this area and see how we bounce here. Okay, so we literally didn't respect it. Can't enter. Let's play one candle at a time, see what happens at the zone here. Look for the same setup, look for a break, like a change of character to the upside. I'm going to pull back, and I can already see that this area over here is going to be a nice area for demand. Let's play it out. And it taps into it right away. Don't think we'll come back to that zone. Yeah.
Maybe I must explain how you find the order block from where the retracement come after. Where do you find the order block after the chuck? I think it's what he means. You understand? Once we made,
Oh.
and then you find another order block for entry point and stuff like that.
Okay,
I
okay,
think-
okay.
That's how I understand the question. I may be
Yeah.
wrong.
Okay, 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 okay. Yeah, I can explain that. I can explain that. So the way it works, right, is when the market's moving, right? The market's moving in, let's say, an upwards direction, right? Every time it gets to an area like here, every time it gets to an area at the bottom, that's where what we call the exchange of hands, right? So that's when more buyers step into the market, right? So you can then say that the buyers took over from the sellers at these points in a uptrending market, right? And the same way that when you have a high, you can say that these are areas where sellers took over from the buyers, right? So there was no more buyers, so the sellers then had control, and then when it came down, the buyers had control, right? So what an order block is an order block is an area where you can spot kind of the candle or the area in which the buyers or sellers took control of the market, right? So the way it works is whenever the market makes a higher high, right? Like here, we have a higher high over here. What you would look for is most of the time it's going to be a doji candle, so a candle that looks like this, right? Equal wick top and bottom. You'll look for a candle that looks something like this, somewhere at the bottom of this zone, right? So a lot of the time it'll be a bullish, bearish, bullish candle, right? So if it's at the bottom of a zone, right? So let's just use this as an example. If you're looking for an area at the bottom to reverse to the upside, it would be a bearish, bullish, bearish candle. Am I right? Oh, am I confusing myself? No, I'm confusing myself. I don't know why I'm confusing myself. Let me even draw it out for you. I'll draw it out nicely for you. So here's an example, right? So the market just made a higher high. Now you want to wait for the market to come back to an area where the buyers had control in the market, right? So you want to find an area over here somewhere where the buyers took control. And what you would essentially look for if you're looking for an uptrend, right? If you want to buy an uptrend and it retraces and you want to buy it again, the candle structure you want to look for looks like this. I'll draw it for you nicely, yeah? Let me actually just go make sure that I am right before I confuse myself again. Yeah. It would look something like this, like a bullish, bearish, bullish candle, right? And that bearish candle would be the zone in which the buyers took over, right? So that's what we'd kind of use to find the order block. So you'd look for an area where you make a higher high, reverse, and then you find that bullish, bearish, bullish order block somewhere here, right? So I'm going to go and show you what it will look like. Let me actually go and delete all of this. Am I making sense? I feel like I didn't make sense. Let me go to a chart that actually respects order blocks, like Cardano, right? So here, for an example, what you want to do is look for an area where you made a higher high. So over here, right? So you see here, we broke this high. Then what you would look for is you would look for the area in which the buyers took over, right? So you would go and find the last bearish candle before the bullish expansion, right? And that would be this candle over here. Majority of the time, it's going to be a doji candle, right? A candle with equal wicks top and bottom, right? So you make a higher high. You then mark off this as the last selling pressure before the bullish expansion. And you wait for price to come down and tap into this area so you can long it in there, so you can long it back up, right? I'll find another example here for you. Let's go and look. Do we have any? The 30-minute chart should have something here. It doesn't. Oh, wait, it does over here. Okay, cool. So over here, right? Market makes a lower low compared to there. Right, so the market takes this low out and makes a lower low. Now you'd want to go and look for the last buying pressure because you're trying to sell the market, right? You would look for the last green candle before the selling pressure took over, right? Because that was the last area in which the buyers had control before the sellers took over from the buyers, right? So essentially, a lot of the times what you'll see, it'll be one candle in between others, right? So over here, we have this bearish, bullish, bearish scenario. And that would be the zone in which the sellers took over, be this area here. Then you would wait for price to come back up into this area so you can then short it straight down. Stop loss above the high or above the order block, targeting the most recent low, right? Like that. And your TP would hit over there. So that's what you would look for. You would wait for a lower low or a higher high, then look for the candle of the opposite color to the expansion. So this is a red expansion, right? So this expanded down with red candles. So you'd look for a green candle as your order block. And there you go, that area there. And the same thing works on an uptrending market, right? But you have to wait for the market to break structure. So over here you can see, over here you can see that the market didn't actually make a higher high because the higher high would be there. And the market never made a higher high, so this wouldn't be an order block. This selling pressure before the bullish move up wouldn't be an order block because this is the high that made this low, right? So this is a strong high because it made this low and we never managed to break above this high, right? D-Waggy, do you understand? Do you get that? Let me go check the chat out. OB happens with 3 candles. The middle one is the opposite. Yeah. Yes, sir. Perfect explanation. Cool. Wanted Killer actually shares something here with us. Shares a nice little theta thing here. Yeah, that's a perfect example. I'll actually share this on the screen with everyone real quick. So the OA Wanted Killer just shared this, and he was like, "Yeah, cool. There's you can see over here on the left-hand side. There's a bearish, bullish. Sorry, that was the last. What is your color scheme? Red is green. No, red is red. Blue is green. What? But this is
brown is green. Sorry.
brown is
Brown is
green.
green. Yeah.
That's confusing, bro. How do you trade this?
Just testing out some psychology with different colors and all that. That's basically what it is.
Ah, okay. Dude, that's confusing to me. Anyways, yeah, Dewaggy has this great example. You have an order block, and then there's another example here. Change your character to the downside. There was last buying pressure before the sell-off, and that's where it tapped into, and he took a short off of that. And there was also a trend line that confirmed the short to the downside. So that's that. Cool, Dewaggy. Would older OB be valid if those levels have been already pierced once, and if go past, it comes back to it again? Would it act as support resistance? So yes. Okay. So an OB is valid as a support resistance flip. Yes. So for example, if I come back to Cardano over here, actually let's go to an open chart, a clean chart, right? So if you have the market moving like this, right, upwards direction, and it breaks a zone like this, where you had an order block over here, yes, it can come back and test that order block as a resistance level. So that's what we call an SR flip. And I actually spoke about this last week. No. Did I do it in the VIP? I think I did it for the VIP guys. Yeah. So what happened was we spoke about support resistance flips, and I think I also shared it somewhere in some chart somewhere, crypto analysis maybe. So I had a great chart example that I showed. Just trying to look for it real quick. Trying to see if it is here. Damn, you guys send so many messages in the chat. Not a problem. Just saying. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be it. It's not going to be it. But essentially, what a support resistance flip is, yes, a order block is valid if it does something like this, for example, where you break the order block and it retests it. The same way if it moves to the downside and it breaks a level, it can come back to retest that level before making a high. So you can see over here, this would have been, an order block would have been over there, right? But it doesn't respect the order block and it pushes straight through the zone. It can come back to test it again. But we call this, there's another word for this, and it's called a breaker.
I was going to say breaker block, they call that, don't they?
Yeah, it's a breaker block. So what happens is that if an order block gets pushed through and comes back and acts as support, for example, in this example, it was resistance, but it pushed through and acted as support, they call it a breaker. And then it pushes up to the upside again. Right? The same way you have that, you have the same thing in a bullish example, where you do this. Chart is horrible. But you have this, right? Boom, like that. So that then acts oppositely. So this is also a breaker. Like that. So that can happen, yes. There you go. Skinny D just shared it. Thank you, bro. I don't know where I posted that, but I posted it somewhere.
Yeah, I remember saving it. It's like, I think I still have it in here somewhere.
Yeah. So this is what we call an SR flip. So breaker structure to the downside. The market was moving up, and it comes down, acts as resistance, and then flip entry module. There you go. That's somewhat of what it looks like. Hartley, you said Cardano really respected order blocks. Which others, please? I didn't. Okay. So any pair that is against the US dollar respects majority of order blocks. Doesn't respect every single order block, but it respects majority. Right? No chart will respect every single block, but it all depends on what time frame you're on and how much manipulation is going on. Right? So it all depends. So I would trade all of the USDT pairs and all of the bigger cap pairs. So like USD, Bitcoin, ETH, Cardano, AVAX, Solana. I haven't done Matic. I haven't done majority of these. I've only really traded. I'll tell you exactly which pairs I've traded. Bitcoin, ETH, Cardano, Ape, AVAX, Phantom. I've done one trade on Litecoin, but it failed. And it didn't respect the block. Solana. And that's it. Those are all the charts that I've traded with the order block strategy and won and had a good win rate on those charts. I'm not saying you should only trade those charts. I'm just saying like majority of the USDT pairs and majority of the charts that actually are higher cap are going to have proper market structure. Like Bitcoin's got decent market structure. Like you can see it, it does respect most zones. You will see a wick here and there, but yeah,
To like the top 40.
like the top 40, like on CoinMarketCap.
Yeah.
What I would always
I don't
tell
know,
people to do,
Just
yeah,
a random number at top 40.
like what I always tell people to do is just go into a coin. Like I wouldn't do Dogecoin. I would never trade Doge. What I always tell people to do is literally go in to a chart and backtest to see if it respects order blocks. Like I've never traded Filecoin, I've never traded Stellar, I've never traded Wrapped, Toncoin, Monero, Uni never traded on this strategy. TRX is AVAX, right? No, it's not. It's TRX. Never traded TRX. Never traded OKB. Like I've never traded majority of these coins because I like to stick to a few that actually hold proper market structure. So like here, the top ones I do is Bitcoin, ETH, BNB, XRP, Cardano, Polygon, Solana. DOT probably does follow. And I do AVAX. So those ones and Link. I've traded like 2 charts on Link before. But yeah, the best thing to do is like go and check out how the chart moves. Like I always tell people to find a chart or find a pair that you enjoy trading. So for me, like I don't trade crypto that much during the week, but if I do trade crypto, I'm mostly looking at Bitcoin, AVAX. I'll look at Bitcoin, AVAX, and Solana first for trades because I kind of know how those charts move. I've traded them a lot over the past while. If you also look at this portfolio that I drew out for you guys, a majority of those trades are AVAX trades because I kind of understand how it works and how it moves, right? So that's what I would always recommend someone do is just like log into a chart and see what happens. Because like the thing is that the reason why I can't backtest a chart for you is like I can definitely backtest a chart in front of you, but I can't backtest a chart for you because you might not see an order block that I see. You might mark a break of structure differently to what I mark. And if you mark it differently, then your entry will be at a different place. We won't take the same trade, right? So you see how backtesting, yes, you can backtest with me and I can show you how I backtest, but you got to go and do it yourself as well. Like on top of backtesting with me, you've got to go and backtest on your own so you can get your own data and you can see how the chart moves in your own eyes. Because like if I backtest and I literally play the chart out, I can stop it and be like, that was a break of structure, which you never even saw. Or you might see a break of structure that I never saw. And then you might have taken a trade where I would have missed the trade. You know what I mean? So it's always good to like kind of do your own research, you know what I mean? Yeah, Linz, it's always good like trying to slim the amount of coins you're charting. That's like the best thing to do because like you don't have like a million coins in your screen that you want to look at. So like for me, for example, like I have like a ton of coins here just because I use them throughout the weeks when like doing my weekly breakdowns. I just like to have all these coins. So if someone says, yo, dude, go chart this, I already have the coin somewhere here. And it's easy for me to keep track of. But what I would recommend you do is you kind of split them up, right? So for me, I've got indexes on the top here, then I've got high cap, then I've got alts, right? Bitcoin is in the alt section because I've got 2 Bitcoin charts. But what you could do is instead of saying index, high cap, alts, you can say index, high cap, and then my pairs. You can have like 3 or 4 pairs over here. Like a lot of people that I know that trade or that I've watched trade, they have like 4 pairs on their screen. That's it. then they only watch those 4 pairs. They'll watch like Bitcoin, ETH, and then AVAX, and that's it. And if they don't see any trades on Bitcoin, ETH, and AVAX, then they won't take any trades on that day. Like, yeah, like you don't want to be like running off the charts, looking for a chart that'll give you a setup, because chances are the chart that you find the setup on will be faking out, and then someone else that trades that chart will basically know that's a fake out because it happens all the time. Like, for example, if I backtest ETH to Link now, and I'm like, nah, this chart fakes out all the time, and you come in for the first time and look at that chart, you'll be like, nah, it's going to respect the zone, boom, fake out, and now you're like lost because you don't know what happened. You know what I mean? Trading is subjective in nature with multiple right answers. It's exactly true. Like, I was chatting to 2 guys that were helping me out over the past couple months, and I sent a chart through to them, and they shout out to, if they ever find this, shout out to Brendan and Mark. If they ever see this video, this recording somewhere, shout out to Brendan and Mark. But if literally I sent a chart through, hold on, someone was echoing. I sent the chart through to them one day, and then Brendan was like, yo, dude, I have the opposite opinion as you. Like, I was going long where he was looking for a short, and what ended up happening was I took the long, and my long position went into his short position. So my long position went up and tapped his entry, and as his entry got tapped, that was my TP, right? So I made money into his short. So I longed and took profit as he went into a short, and neither of us knew. The only information I had was, hey, dude, I have the opposite bias to you. I'm looking for shorts. And little did I know is when he sent a screenshot of his chart afterwards, his entry was exactly where my take profit was. So like 2 people can be on different sides of the market and still make money, right? I can go into Bitcoin right now and I can go to the chart and I can draw up 100 different charts or 100 different examples or 100 different lines in the same chart. And I can make you believe that there's going to be 100 different outcomes for Bitcoin. Right? I can make your brain, your soul, your mind believe that Bitcoin will go up. I can make you believe that it will come down, and I can make you believe that it will consolidate. And I can make you believe that it will play out in a multitude of different ways. It'll go up first, then come down, then go up, then consolidate, then go up. Like, if you can mark a chart in multiple different ways, but it's all about how you do it at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Will the stream be available to watch later? Yes, it will. I'm recording it as we speak. Ronaldo shares a chart over here with Uni. I'll check it out in a second. When you have lots of charts, you may lose opportunity because you spend lots of time going through them. Exactly, dude. If you have a team and split the coins, you have help. Also true, but it's also like if you have a team of traders and one trader is absent, then you're lost. Because like if you have a team of traders and let's say you trade Bitcoin, ETH, and AVAX, and the other guy trades Matic, Solana, and Render, and the other guy trades Atom, Ruin, and Cake, right? If one of those guys aren't there, you don't have information on those charts for that day, which is the only problem that I have with that. So it's kind of like work together as a team, yes, but pick 3 or 4 pairs that you enjoy trading. Even if it matches with other people, just pick 3 or 4 pairs that you enjoy trading that you can understand, and then chart those pairs with people. So like what happened earlier today is I sent Ronaldo a chart, and I was like, yo, dude, can you look at Phantom against the US dollar? I'm in a position, just want to get your bias on it. Because he's going to look at the chart differently to what I am. And if he sees a completely different outcome, or he might see a zone that I don't see, or he might see liquidity that I don't see, or he might see a break of structure that I don't see, that's extra information for me. Even if we trade the same chart, we'll look at the chart in a different way, because we're 2 different people with 2 different mindsets, right? So we'll mark off charts differently. We'll take entries differently. So yeah, like it's always good like finding it someone else that you can trade with, and that's why like the VIP guys, you guys have your section here with all the crypto, forex, indices, metals, whatever you have, your general chat. Share your setups in here. If you guys are unsure about a setup, share the chart, and I'm pretty sure someone else will come along and say, okay, cool, I see the same thing, or no, I disagree, or hey, what's up? Look for this zone. Like that's what it's for. Like the community is here, even for the free guys. You guys have all these sections over here to like talk and chat in. If you need help, just send a message. Be like, hey guys, need some help with this chart. Does anyone want to help me? Or hey guys, I'm looking at this setup. Does anyone see anything different? Or hey guys, I'm going into this long. What do you guys think, or anything like that? And I'm pretty sure someone will reply to you. Surely someone will reply to you. So uni on the 5 minute, right? Let's actually draw Fernando's chart here. I looked at that chart for like 2 seconds. I'm going to try and see what I can see out of that chart, right? So uni on the 30 minute short time frame. This was the high that put in this low, right? So if you look clearly, this was the last high before this low got made, right? So essentially a break of structure to the upside or change of character would be above this high for a higher time frame trade, right? But if you go to the lower time frames, right, like the 15 minute, you can then see that this was the high that put in this low, right? So you want to break above this high before you have that change of character, because like I said before, and I'm going to say it again, you look for the previous high that made the low for the break of structure or the change of character, right? So there you go. So now I have a change of character to the upside. I would take the last selling power before the bullish expansion as my zone. So that doji candle at the bottom there as my demand zone. And then I can also see a trend line or liquidity that needs to get taken out. So we can then say, cool, price can move down into this zone, take out all the people that are buying, and then it can move up to the upside, right? Then you can enter a long position from 50% in this zone. Stop loss below this wick. And then you can target the most recent high, which is this high over here. And then if you want to be ambitious, you can target this zone here, right? Because this was the last buying pressure before we made this lower low over here, right? Before we took out this low, that was the last buying pressure. Whoops. Right, so you can say that price needs to eventually come back up to this zone here. So you can either target this high here, or you can come up all the way to this zone up top here for a 10 to 1, or a easy 6 to 1, a quicker 6 to 1. Right, does that make sense? Hope that made sense.
Yep, perfect sense there.
Yeah. So that's kind of like what's like how you can trade this. Like, for example, over here, right? You see this high over here. This high made this low. So you can't take this high as a change of character because it made this low, and this low got broken already by this low, right? So you take the previous high that made the low, right? So for example, this high made this low. 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 And this high made this low, which essentially they couldn't break. But now we also haven't made a lower low. So if I zoom in closer to this time frame here, like this area here, you can see that we've made a lower low over here, right? So we've made a lower low there. Yes, go to the 5 minute even. But we never managed to break below that level, right? So yes, we did come up, but we didn't break below the previous low, right? And we also didn't break above the previous high. So at this point in time, this market's ranging, right? So you can see at this point in time, the low of the range is here and the high of the range is here. Until we break either one of these, like until we come up and then go up, or come down like that, like what, like this, or go up, come down, go up again like that. Like we are ranging until that happens, right? So that's kind of how that works. I hope that makes complete sense. If there's any more questions, you all need to ask. You all need to share. This is your time. How would we target a narrow range like a symmetrical triangle? What does a symmetrical triangle even look like? Let's go to Google.
I think he posted that in the chat, didn't he?
Did he? No, he didn't.
Not in here. Somewhere like in the free chats or one of them.
Oh, like this. This is a symmetrical triangle. How would you target like the area in which you would look for a buy or sell? Marky J says, so you actually do the trade in the lower time frame on the 15-minute after checking the higher time frames? Well, basically yes, because you need to have a higher time frame bias of which way the market's going to go, right? Before you can understand the lower time frame, right? Because if I look at this, the market's moving down, right? But if I look at this, the market looks like it's moving up. So if I take a long here, I'm longing into a downtrending market, which isn't that great. So I'm looking for shorts essentially. So I'm looking to short this market. So for example, if we make a lower low here and we manage to come up to like a zone like that, I would look to short. So if we make a lower low, come up to here, I'd look to short lower. I'd look to enter a short somewhere here and target an easy 1 to 5, which will take profit over here. Right? You know what I mean? So understanding the higher time frames will give you a bias on whether or not you should long or short. So you actually, oh, sorry. Bank says, please look at Phantom. What do you want me to check on Phantom? Do you just want me to do like charting on it? So I can look at it. I'm in a short on Phantom. Currently.
Yeah, please just look at the chart structure on that one, Hartley.
Like, what do you, like, wait, what do you want me to do? Like, look at the higher time frames, like mark off zones? Or do you want me to just check how the chart is?
Yeah, look at the, I'm just sort of looking at the, where it really came down, trying to find where that break of structure or chocks that are there, and then to get those zones so that we can work out what we're doing.
Okay, okay, so you want me to like look at what
Obviously,
happened here?
I've seen that liquidity. Yeah. Well, no, Ratcha. Let's just go here. It's this latest thing. I'm seeing this liquidity that's just happened up until now, and yeah, like you, I'm sort of looking at that as a possible short, targeting. I seem to have picked up some older order blocks down below, around the sort of 31 cents down to sort of, and another order block down at 30.5 down to 29.5.
I can tell you now that we're going to first get resistance over here. This zone is where we'll first find some support, right? So the reason I say that is because this candle here was the last selling cap. There was a last selling power before we broke up, or even made a before we started forming this this liquidity. So what I'd expect to happen is to find some support here, and if we bounce up and then break it, I'd retest it, then go down. But we will definitely find support here. We'll definitely have a candle that like kind of forms something. I don't think we'll just break it once off. I don't think we'll just shoot straight down. will come down, test it, come up maybe, then reject it, then test it as resistance, and then come down. But I would look at that level first. But essentially, what happened here is there was no real reason for me to go short. Like, this is where it gets interesting, right? We never made a lower low, right? Essentially, we've made a higher high. If anything, this was a higher high over here, right? So we broke that level there, made a higher high. We never came down and took this low. This low did this did not break this low, right? So there was no reason for me to really go short on a fundamental market structure basis. The reason that I was looking for to go short was that there was resistance at this level, right? This is a strict just horizontal zone that I found resistance at. And then if I also go to the whatever time frame this was it 5 minutes? No, 1 hour. There was an order block here on some time frame that I saw. 15 minutes. 15 minutes. There you go. There it is. It's somewhere there, right? So I had this resistance level right beneath an order block, right? So this was an interesting zone because what I'm basing this trade off of is that this wasn't the low we needed to break. I was basing it off of this area here that we had to break below, right? So essentially what happened was we never made a lower low, no, so there wasn't a reason for me to go short, but the reason for me to go short was based off of this area here, where essentially we came up, where we essentially came up, can I get this tool? Thank you. Came up, created a trend, building liquidity, and forming resistance, right? Creating a ascending triangle. I think this is an ascending triangle. I don't know patterns. Creating an ascending triangle. And we all know that ascending triangles essentially break to the downside, right? So after seeing that, I also know that this liquidity needs to get taken, right? So after seeing that, I went to the 5 minute, right? Then I saw that this low got taken on the 5 minute. So we made a lower low on the 5 minute time frame. So now I know we can come back up to this area to basically test this area of supply and also test this area of resistance, right? Because we rejected this area quite a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4 times and 5 over here. So we rejected this zone 5 times and we made it a lower low. I essentially waited for us to come back up and I pretty much took this trade as we rejected it. So somewhere here, I can actually wait. Let me just go check on my phone, tell you exactly where the entry was. 3368 was the entry. 3368, exactly there. Stop loss was just above those highs over there. And then wrote it down. So I'm targeting this as my TP1. So this area, this like order block down here is my TP1. And that was the basis for this trade. So I was looking on the 5 minute, but understanding the 1 hour first, understanding the 30 minute first, and understanding that we could come down here. We could come down to fill out these zones before moving to the upside again, right? So essentially this market wants to go up, but there's no indication of it just yet. There's no confirmation of it just yet. So taking a 5 minute quick little short with strict rules, I literally moved my stop loss to break even when we got to this level here, right? So I literally watched this trade go down. When we got to here, stop loss was already on break even, right? So I didn't want to risk anything on this trade, right? And then after that, because I was busy doing something else, when I came back to my PC, I saw this bearish, bullish, bearish candle over there, indicating that was an exchange of hands over there. So I did get the right sell. I was looking at the right area, right? So that was my basis for this trade, and that's what I was looking at. And we are currently trying to print a lower low. That we are finding support on this area right now. We need to break below that area. If we break and close below that, then we can move down further. Does that make sense, Mr. Banks? Rising wedge, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
What
that's it. Yeah.
What would confirm it going up, that specific chart?
This specific chart, what would confirm it going up? Like on this time frame?
I think a higher time, 1 hour.
Oh, like the 1 hour time frame. What I would want is essentially the confirmation for buys, right? So, okay, put it like this. this low made this high, right? And this high was higher than the low that got put in. So for example, let's say it like this. Let's just restart and take this entire block here. We're looking for a reversal in this entire block, right? So what we'd first look for is a change of character, right? So what put in this low? This high put in this low. So I'd want to break above this high here to form a change of character to the upside, indicating that we might move to the upside. And I got that, right? So we got that over here, right? We got a change of character to the upside. But what happened after that is we came back down, tapped into this zone here, right? So this would have been my order block. This area here would have been my order block, and we did tap into it and we did go up, but we never made a higher high off of this, right? So this order block, this low, never made a higher high anywhere, right? So this would be the high that it has to break for it to be considered a higher high, because this high put in this low, and we never made that higher high on the 30-minute time frame. If I go to the 1 hour, you can see it a lot clearer. You can see it there. This high put in this low, and we never broke above this high. If we broke above that high, came down, I would then look for an entry to go and take it into there. But this market's ranging right now. That's why, like, who did I think Schnabs. I think Schnabs messaged me yesterday. Is he in the chat right now? I don't see him. Yeah, I think Schnabs messaged me yesterday and he was like, yo, I'm looking at this setup. And I literally read the message and I was like, shit, I hope he doesn't take the trade, because the market's really not giving any structure right now. There's nothing. There's no structure, nothing that this market's giving for anything right now. It's really tricky. It's really just like here, right? Bitcoin on the daily basis as well. Go Bitcoin on the daily. Actually, go to the 4 hour. See it clearer. Bitcoin on the 4 hour has this resistance here. Right, you see that level there? That entire area, we need to break above that. Find support and then go up. Alright, so that's the area in which we're finding resistance. That horizontal level. So we are downtrending until we break above that level and then go up again. Right, if we do go up, we could like form some sort of ascending wedge, break above it, retest it, and then move to the upside. And we could come back to retest these levels here around 24.8. I'm looking for 24.8 to be tested if we do come up. Before we reject it, retest it again, forming a trend line, and then breaking the trend and then coming down. Right. So that's what I'm looking at. If I draw it a bit clearer, be like this. Get to like 24.8. Get to 24.8 where you have your resistance. Form a trend line. Essentially break the trend line, retest you'll basically retest the trend line, but you'll also retest that 24.8 level that you just had, and then make a lower low and then start coming down. That's what I'm looking at if we break that. But it's all like take with a grain of salt type of things. You can't just, yeah, you know what I mean. Is there anything else that I can help you guys with?
That was just AVAX was the other one that I was looking at.
AVAX, cool. Well, I actually just took so much profits off this trade now. Closed it there.
Ari, just checking the chat, sir.
Checking the chats, I will check now. Institutional candles, when you have found the doji, institutional candles, when you have found the doji candle has equal wicks. Say you find it on the 4 hourly, but when you look at the lower time frames to refine the doji, candles wicks are not equal. Does this matter? So what I would do is I would mark off both. So I'd look at the 4 hour and I would look at the 1 hour, for example. So if I go to the 4 hour, this loads. So yeah, right? So I'm going to do the 4 hour zone. I'm going to do the 4 hour zone there, right? So I'm going to go to the 2 hour then. So I'll go to the 3 hour first, actually. Let's go all the way down. So the 3 hour zone's the same. Go to the 2 hour zone. Right, now you see that there's another zone here. You see this was the last candle before the bearish push down. So you can refine it to this candle here. So now I have a double zone. So I'm going to make it red, but then it'll be a darker red in there. Right, so now you have two zones. You have a 4 hour and a 2 hour to get refined. Look at the 1 hour. Now your 1 hour zone still the same as the 2 hour. Go to the 30 minute. Check, still the same. Go to the 15 minutes. Alright, check. Okay, cool. That's what the candles look like. Okay. So now I know I have a 4 hour zone and this kind of 3 hour, I think it was a 3 hour zone. Now you can decide, you can leave this 4 hour zone in here and just know, so you can like mark it off and say, okay, cool, I know that that is now resistance. When it taps into that area, that is going to be resistance. Or you can delete it and say, I'm looking for this zone over here. And you can mark it off, or you can say, cool, this is a 2H zone, like 2H zone. And then you know, okay, cool, that's a 2 hour supply zone, for example. Right? That makes sense? Hope that makes sense. I hope I'm explaining right. Alright, let's go back to the chat. Failed dump, base dump, drop base drop. Drop base. That is not a failed drop base drop because a drop base drop is only valid when you get a retracement. So I'll show you here. Let's grab some chart that I don't work on. So I'll show you here. This is what a drop base drop looks like. You have a drop, base, drop, and a retracement. That's what a drop base drop is. And you take the short off of the retracement to that base for a 1 to 5. Right, so a drop base drop isn't really like a... You wouldn't trade this area of the drop base drop. You would trade the retracement to test the base. Because essentially in this base, you have to understand that in this base, on a 15-minute time frame, that base would be a 1 hour or a 4 hour doji candle, which would be the exchange of hands. So in the exchange of hands, you'd want to retest that area of where they exchanged hands to then come down again. And that's what a drop base drop looks like. The same with a rally base rally. With a rally base rally, you have a push up base and a rally to the upside. Then essentially what you'd have to do is you would test that rally. You would test the base of the rally like that. Right? Because essentially what would happen is you'd also have a break of structure here. You have a break of structure to the upside and you'd come down, test it, and then continue. But like the same way that can happen, you can also have it break down and test it for SR flip. Like that. Right, so it is all dependent. That's why I say watch your zones carefully. Does Bitcoin want to come up here? Just want to set my stop loss to break even on this trade real quick. Can you give me advice on Matic in current short? I can do that. Give me a second. Where are you short from? Give me the level you're short from.
Okay.
Whoops, on the wrong screen. Yo, Mags, give me the level you're short from. Give me the price you're short from, because then I can tell you what you should do, or I can give advice. I can't tell you what you should do. This is not financial advice. What time frames are you generally trading? I'm trading all time frames. You can give me the 1 minute chart, I'll trade it. You can give me the daily chart, and I'll trade it. You can give me the 4 hour chart, and I'll trade it. But on the daily basis, whatever time frames are giving me setups, I will trade, right? So for example, if I look at a chart like this, and I don't see a setup, I don't see a setup. But if I go to the 30 minutes, I would see maybe a buy from down here. Then I'd wait for the 30-minute zone to be tapped. Then I would go to the 15 minutes or the 5 minutes and then enter from there. But it's all dependent. I don't choose one specific time frame and trade that time frame. I don't have a bias on that. Hardly looking at render, my entry would be on 786 fib, also 200 MA support line. Tell me why I shouldn't. Charting on my phone as away from PC, not exactly sure. So why you shouldn't long? We haven't made proper support yet. So yeah, but don't long if you don't have support, right? So you're catching a falling knife. Right, so if I go to the charts again, There's no real support just yet. We're just forming some sort of liquidity here. So we could just come down and do that. Then just free fall down to $12,000. We don't know what's going to happen. So we also don't have a significant high. Right, so like yeah, we don't really have support just yet. We're essentially what we're doing is we haven't formed support, rather than we're just retesting this level here on top. Right, you see how I marked off this 4-hour level over here. Right, so that 4-hour level that I marked off here with this white line. Right, we're not forming support, we're just retesting that level. Right, so I can expect us to come and retest it again before we reject it again, retest it again. As many times as it wants to retest it, you can retest it. But yeah, I'm looking at that kind of, this isn't support, this is a retest. Matic short from the 1.0813, let's check it. 1.0813, 1.0813, so up here. I mean, it's pretty decent. You're basically sitting on resistance there. That's an area of resistance. Same setup as Bitcoin. You're sitting on this area of resistance that you're just chilling on. The only thing I'm scared of is we might actually pop it to the upside, find support, and then pop it again. But right now, I would put your stop loss and break even. Just get stopped out if you get stopped out, because your stop loss is like really low. It's like, yeah. So if you get stopped out, you can always look for another entry, because it's literally, if price comes back up and stops you out, you're going to be on the chart. You can look for like another entry if you wanted to. That's always my rule, is that when I get stopped out, I get stopped out, but price is exactly where I entered on, so I can look for another entry. So yeah, that's what I would recommend you do for that trade. Thanks, appreciate. No problemo, sir. Keep opening up Google, and I'm supposed to open up TradingView. Check Phantom out. Phantom is actually Fansporte. Yeah, Fansporte. Cool. So this trade, I'm actually probably gonna clear off another. Actually, no, I'm not. Not just yet. We need to break above this high before I completely take out of this trade. All right. So we have to break that high before I do anything. If I look at USDT dominance, it's just stagnating. Yeah, retest that line. It's just stagnating now. It's doing nothing. The markets have no volume right now. So I wouldn't get into anything specific right now. Because when the markets have no volume, it's open to manipulation. And we all know what manipulation looks like. It just looks like a bunch of wicks that just make no sense. Bitcoin found support in this trend. And it's moving up. Right, but you see here, there's no lower low that got made. That is not a lower low. That's a wick. We need a closure. So essentially, we're not making lower lows, and we're not making higher highs. Right, you see this low is not lower than this low. But we also have made a higher high. So we're kind of in this like descending channel that looks like this, which it can break to the upside and go up. But yeah, like it's just ranging. Market has no volume, it's just consolidating. If I look at it like this, you can see there's the high, there's the low. And it's ranging like that. So you see how this looks like a range, but like if I look here, it looks like a ascending channel. I mean a descending channel. And a descending channel normally means that we're going to break to the upside. But then someone else comes along and they're like, no, dude, it's ranging. Look, it's ranging. And if it's ranging, then you can't really do anything. So it's all dependent. I wouldn't take any trades right now.
Hardly. Just one thing. I know they are struggling with the depegging of the USDC.
I saw.
See that they want to be pegged again at one before the US, after Asian opens tonight. So me personally, I would get stay out of the market until that is sorted out for now.
Yeah.
Don't do any longs or anything. Maybe until tomorrow, till that is sorted out.
Yeah.
Or we have a way that we can continue.
For sure. I 100% agree with what Renando's saying. Just stay out of the markets for now. Don't do anything. Don't get into anything. There is no real setups. There are no setups. This setup that I saw now, that I traded myself, it was like a borderline setup. Was very risky. High risk trade. Farouk says that he has this zone. Farouk, the only problem here is that we never made a high. Right, so where's your high? You have order blocks marked off, yes, but where's your high? Market has no reason to go up if it hasn't made a high yet. Alright. What do you think of the next short? I don't know. I'll see after tomorrow's open. After tomorrow's New York open, I'll be able to give you guys my bias. Can you please guide me if I should take this trade setup? Don't take it. I'm on the 5 minutes. Don't take any of the setups. Don't take it. Just don't take it. Farouk's setup is just there's no high. So there's no market structure, like there's no high made, we're just ranging. So why would you trade a range, first of all? Second of all, with this setup here on the 5 minute is you're also ranging. So you're trying to short the top of the range. Yes, that makes sense. Sorry, there's someone in this chat that has their mic on. I think it's this person. Yeah. Whereas Klaus's setup, you're trying to short the top of the range, yes. But also what happens when Asian opens and they pump the market? Or what happens if you get into this trade, all of a sudden there's a manipulation spike because the volume's too low. One of the whales decide that they want to pump it. Nah, Skinny Dude, I don't think it was you. I think it was Shaw. I've never had a problem with your mic, Skinny. I think it was Shaw. But yeah, so that's basically how it works, right? So yeah. Yeah, anyways. Should we do a giveaway? Who wants a giveaway? What do you guys want? Lol. What should I give you guys?
100k FTMO account.
I'm not gonna do that just because funded accounts are fucking dumb. Oh, Renando, by the way. Renando, I'm probably thinking of like canceling my funded account. Not canceling, but like not trading it daily anymore. I'll speak to you about that tomorrow. Because someone we know is building a prop firm, and I'm probably gonna tag along with that. Because my forex funds, it's like it's a good prop firm, but like if you're doing anything less than a 50k, it's just not worth it. And my first account that I got was a 5k, and it's just really not worth it on a 5k account. Just because, like, for example, Wanted Killer and Renando, anyone here that has a funded account, if you are trading a funded account, right, the account is set so that you can't go more than 5% in drawdown per day, right? So if you withdraw 4%, you only have 1% left for that day to trade with. So if you withdraw on any day, you can't really trade, which is interesting. So Mad Crypto says a Rolex. Lens says 30 minutes one-on-one. I like that because that's actually something you'll gain knowledge with. Spicy says a dance party. I want 5% USDC back. Skinny D says, does his name start with an L? That's a good question. Does my name start with an L? Boom. Skinny D says, working on the funded journey. Yeah, like, it depends what funded account you're with. Like, to be honest with you, like, you gotta plan it properly. Like, for example, with my Forex funds, if you withdraw 4% of your account, or you can't withdraw more than 5% of your account because that puts you in drawdown for that day. And you can't withdraw more than 5% at a time on a day. So what you'd essentially do is you would work out a day where you wouldn't trade. Like, let's say it's a Friday or a Monday, you wouldn't trade that day and then do your withdrawal on that day. And then you would go into drawdown, but then you make sure that you just don't trade that day. You know what I mean? So yeah. I'm actually going to stop this recording now.